Have you ever read a bunch of job descriptions and felt completely freaked out because you didn't meet the minimum qualifications for the postings? Don't worry, it's not you, and I have some tips that will help you out. Hey everyone, it's Emily, the Career Catalyst. Job descriptions that you're going to find all over on the job boards can be really intimidating because they're just going to ask for the moon. Here's the thing though, this isn't actually about meeting all of the qualifications that they have listed. There are a lot of ways that you can actually get in behind the scenes a little bit more. And the truth is that when an employer posts a job description like that, they're just going to ask for the moon. There are a lot of reasons for this. I'm not going to get too into them right now, but the point you need to know is that you don't actually need to meet all of them. Some people have said you should meet 70%, but I've certainly heard of people doing some kind of clever things and winding up getting jobs for which they had sort of 30% of the stated qualifications. So don't freak yourself out. There are a number of things that you can do to really increase your chances of getting at least an interview and ideally the job. I like to really encourage people to do networking within a particular organization. This doesn't have to be big, heavy lifting, crazy stuff. This can be talking with people who work there, finding people with interesting job titles, all these kinds of things so that you're a little bit known within the organization. That's a really good way to gauge a couple of things. The first, of course, is whether you really want to do this job, work at this organization. But it's also a really great way for you to get known as someone who might be interested in this work and as someone who is a dedicated professional individual. Now, in normal times, what that often means is just kind of calling people up and saying, hey, can I take you out for coffee? I'd love to pick your brain. It's a little bit harder now. And so what you'll wind up doing probably is emailing around to some folks and asking if you can just have a conversation with them about the work they do or the job title they have or whatever it is that's of interest to you. You can't, excuse me, you can't often invite them out for coffee these days, depending on where you live. But what you can do is just say, I'd love half an hour of your time. I'd love to pick your brain, basically. And then what you'll want to do is have a series of questions prepared so that you can really ask them what it's like to do this thing or how they got where they are or whatever it is that you're really curious about. And then you're going to want to be sure you ask who else in that organization that person recommends that you talk to. It's a really good way to kind of begin this process and to begin to feel like you're actually really where you need to be. But the truth is, it's very unusual for people to feel like they actually are fully qualified for things. There are some people who do, sure, but most people really don't. Now, if you're really struggling, another strategy you might think about employing is to write what's called a pain letter. I'm going to put an article here in the comments about what a pain letter is, but basically it's a letter that you address to a hiring manager within an organization, explaining to them what you have to offer, really. You're not kind of pitching your skills in a general way, and you're not sending things into the ether in a way that feels kind of weird and impersonal. It's really just about kind of addressing the key pain points that an organization might have. So kind of a nice way to do it. Now, here's the trick with pain letters. If you write one, you are going to want to be very, very specific. This is going to take a lot of work and a lot of effort, so I don't recommend doing this unless you're really sure that this is the kind of position or the kind of organization that you are really seeking. Take some time, and you're really going to want to figure out what issue it is that you can solve for this organization. Again, this is challenging. This is not an easy process, but it's a really great way for you to get in front of the people who can make hiring decisions. So again, I'm going to put some tips for this pain letter here in the bottom. And then, of course, the other thing that you can do as you're kind of seeking things is reach out to your existing network. I know this seems really simple and straightforward, but the deal is that a lot of times people maybe more casually, are looking to help their organization hire someone. And they might not know kind of what you are capable of or what you're looking for. So you can reach out to folks. You can change your LinkedIn profile so that it reflects that you're seeking something. You can join Facebook groups for job seekers, things like that. It can be confusing for a lot of us to be in the state of looking for a job because it's not straightforward these days, right? And so what you'll find sometimes is that if you say to your more distant friends that you're looking for something and then tell them exactly what you're capable of, they might actually have something. Oh, my cousin is looking to hire someone exactly like that. Or they might know someone who has something. We don't often have conversations with our assorted loved ones about specifically what we do. And so this is a really interesting conversation to get into. So think about who you might already know, who might already be within your networks, and try not to stress yourself out too much. I say that if you're thinking about applying for something, aim for something you're sort of roughly 70% qualified for. But if you're reading a job description and you think, I can do that, just because I don't have these kind of measured criteria here, that doesn't mean I can't do it. If you actually feel like you can do this job, go ahead and apply. Again, you're not going to want to go right through the channel of like clicking the LinkedIn quick apply thing or, going through the just sort of giant weird black hole of just anonymously sending out a resume. You're going to want to be very specific in it. You're going to want to reach out to people within the organization. You might think about that pain letter, and you're really going to have to make sure that you're doing some optimization of your resume so that it comes as close as possible to reflecting what they've stated in the job description. Now, you don't want to lie. That's never going to serve you well, but you do want to really reflect the language that they're using in that job posting as much as possible. The other thing you might do is reach out to someone in like HR, for instance, in the organization, and just see if that person can recommend other folks in the company for you to talk to. And so try to go through these sort of back channels or see if there's a discussion about this position on something like the social media of the company or a professional organization, something like that. So you're going to look to apply for these jobs a little bit more kind of from the side and from the back and not straight from the front. If you're super qualified for something, you may absolutely do the kind of knock on the front door approach and see what happens. But if you are feeling really panicked when you read a job description, take a couple of deep cleansing breaths, think about this networking and pain letter combination and see what feels right to you. And let me know in the chat if you have any additional questions. I hope this is helpful. I will see you here next week.